It doesn't matter what the situation is, what question he is asked, who he's dealing with, Donald Trump is going to lie. And we got a taste of that earlier this week. When Donald Trump was in Detroit, Michigan this week, he was asked by a reporter, easy question, right? How are you specifically preparing to debate Harris, the Democratic presidential nominee? That's the question. Like, how are you specifically prepping for this debate that at this point may or may not happen because Donald Trump wants to chicken out of it? But it's a pretty straight up thing, right? And it's common for politicians like, hey, you got a debate that as of this moment is still technically on the books. What are you doing for it? And rather than explaining how he's preparing, tough guy Donald Trump wanted to act like, preparing? Oh, God, I'm too smart to prepare. And he said this, I'm not spending a lot of time on it. I think my whole life I've been preparing for a debate. Basically, you have to be real. You can't cram 30 years of knowledge in your head in 1 week. There's a little debate prep, but I've always done it more or less the same way. You have to know your subject, and I think I know it better than anybody. Now, that's a lie. I mean, everything he said there was in fact a lie. And I will get more in just a moment into how big of a lie it is and how we know it's a lie. But then Trump said, you can have all sorts of sessions. I watched Mitt Romney go in. He worked so hard. He locked himself in a log cabin for 4 weeks and he developed lockjaw. He couldn't speak. No, for the record, Mitt Romney did not, in fact, develop lockjaw. That simply didn't happen. He just wasn't that good of a debater against Barack Obama, who, let's face it, is pretty freaking good at it. But then, to back up Donald Trump's lie that he's not preparing at all, his spokesperson, Stephen Chung, of course, said this. As President Trump said, he's been preparing all his life and he regularly interacts with the press, which is a form of getting ready, something Comrade Kamala refuses to do. So there you are, and there you have it, folks. Donald Trump is not preparing for the presidential debate because he's a pretty smart guy. And, you know, smart guys can't cram 30 years of knowledge into a few sessions, he said, which that doesn't even make any sense. But okay, whatever. You said it. It's a weird thing, but okay. The problem with this statement, as I mentioned, is, of course, that it's a flat-out lie. And in fact, just 1 week ago, Donald Trump's spokesperson, Caroline Leavitt, confirmed to the New York Times that Trump's campaign had brought in none other than Tulsi Gabbard to prep him for the debate. He spent all last week working with Tulsi Gabbard on how to debate Vice President Kamala Harris. His campaign confirmed it. Then a week later, for some reason, the reporter, I guess, doesn't have a subscription to the New York Times, asked him what he was doing, and he's like, I'm not doing anything. No, I am not worried about things. I am too smart to worry about things. Bullcrap, because your campaign last week said it. Caroline Leavitt, let me read you from the New York Times. In an email, Caroline Leavitt, spokeswoman for Mr. Trump, confirmed Mrs. Gabbard's involvement. Ms. Leavitt said the former president has, quote, proven to be one of the best debaters in political history, as evidenced by his knockout blow to Joe Biden. He does not need traditional debate prep, but will continue to meet with respected policy advisors and effective communicators like Tulsi Gabbard, who successfully dominated Kamala Harris on the debate stage in 2020. Now, before I read you any more of that, let me go ahead and make something crystal clear in case anybody doesn't already realize it. Donald Trump did not actually knock out Joe Biden during that debate that they had earlier this past summer. Joe Biden knocked himself out. Okay? Donald Trump did not win any points in that debate. Biden lost them by kind of showing us what a lot of us had feared was happening. Okay? I don't mean to sit here and insult President Biden. There's no need for that. There's no use for it. We all saw what happened. We were all horrified by it. But none of that happened because of something Trump did. Okay? Like, it just happened because it happened. Trump didn't beat him. Biden beat himself. But the New York Times continues, and this lets us know what's really happening inside the campaign. Mr. Trump likes to say he doesn't need to prepare for debates, and his team is under instructions to use the term policy time to describe their sessions. But Mr. Trump has spent more time this year practicing for debates than he did in either 2016 or 2020, according to advisors who have worked with him. His first debate against Mr. Biden in 2020 was disastrous for Mr. Trump, who came off as overbearing. So they're trying to argue semantics with us, folks. Like, no. He's not doing debate prep. God, no. He doesn't need it. Too smart. Too smart. He's just so smart. Nobody can handle it. Instead, this is what we call policy time. Yeah, this is, where he sits with people who give him ideas and instructions on how to argue with other people. Not debate. No. God, no. This is not debate prep. This is, arguing instructions. Cool. So debate. Like that, just say debate. But Donald Trump is so just absolutely insecure. Just such a whiny little toddler of a man that he can't do anything that may make him look weak. Like, oh, no, I don't need to practice. I'm already great at everything. Do you think Tom Brady was ever out there like, no, I don't need to practice for the Super Bowl. I'm the best there is. I can do that. No, he went out there and he practiced every day. Every athlete, every person who is the best at what they do still practices every day. And it doesn't make them look weak. It doesn't make them look sad. It just makes them look like a person who is taking the job seriously. But Donald Trump is so fragile that he cannot even risk it. He cannot have people think for a second that he's not immediately already ready. Donald Trump is a very bad debater, okay? He is not good at it. There is no other way to say it. If you've seen him in debates, he does not do well. The only time where he stood out from the rest of the pack was in 2015, the summer of 2015, when you had the Republican debates, and all he did was sit there and insult everybody else on stage. He didn't win, he just made them all look foolish by insulting them. But when it's one-on-one against somebody else, he doesn't do that good. He didn't do well against Biden. Biden, luckily for Trump, just did worse. Harris is not going to have the same faults and issues that Biden had. She is going to be a tough opponent. Yes, she can be happy and joyful and she can laugh, and that drives Republicans crazy for some reason, but she can also be very serious. She can kind of flip that switch at a moment's notice, and you know that she is down to business and you don't mess around with that. And that is what's going to happen at that debate. She may enter the debate, smiling, happy, a little joyful, but the second Trump pisses her off, he's going to wish he hadn't, because she can get, down and dirty with the rest of them. She is good like that. And for the record, she also did not get the crap kicked out of her by Tulsi Gabbard in 2020. Sorry, that just didn't happen. But Trump wants to be the tough guy, wants to pretend he's not preparing. So when he gets crushed in the debate, I guess we can either say, well, you should have prepared, or we'll say you picked a crappy teacher in Tulsi Gabbard. I guess we'll just have to wait and see which excuse they're going to go with. Well, folks, we have crossed that 1 million subscriber milestone, but rest assured, we are just getting started here at Ring of Fire. So if you're not already, please do subscribe to the channel and make sure to like, share, and comment on the videos.